Right, different introduction this week. I usually come with something there. I think during the week, oh yeah, I want to talk to Az about that. I look forward to this conversation. I don't bring a lot today, but I want a good rant. Okay, so if I may start off with a rant or finish it with, I like a good rant. But this is you are listening to Short Convo's podcast. I am JC, Too Fast You Warrior of Light, and this is good friend.
As Miralai, welcome to the
Thank you,
show,
Az.
guys. Yeah, you're in the right direction. We're good. Did you have a rant in mind, or you just want to have one?
Yeah, no,
Oh, sorry, I
I
couldn't. I
decided I
wasn't quite
needed
sure
a
if you
rant.
actually had one, or if you just really fancied doing one, but didn't actually have anything to
No,
rant
no,
about.
no,
Uh,
no. Yeah, you know when you feel like punching something
oh, you're there.
because of someone.
Something of
It's
someone.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Yeah, but you know you can just have a go on a punch bag,
You're
can't you?
not
And you
angry. You
don't
just want
have
to
to
punch
have.
someone in the face.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think we should start there. I'm in the
Start with it.
mood
Okay.
to hear you rant.
Okay, it might not actually resonate that much, especially to an insomniac, and I don't want a solution really, to be honest. But we did do our Wisdom Wednesday before this, so it kind of ties in. I had all of this in mind before what you brought up, actually. So there's the
Okay.
universe working. I want to rant. I don't like getting up in the morning. First off, I don't like being woken early in the morning. I just want to get that off my chest. I don't want a solution for it necessarily or anything else. I just want to, I don't know, it may be a bit of acceptance on it. I am not a morning person.
Well, I
Should I
accept
be
you as you
accepting that
are.
as?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I've known it about you and never had an issue with it. It's always just been something I known. Don't wake JC up. Just if JC's asleep and you don't, if they're like the place isn't burning down, just let the man sleep and he will get up when he needs to get up. Or this is the thing. You've always gotten up if you need to get up. It's not like you haven't
Yeah.
done early mornings. And I've seen you in early mornings and you've been in relatively good spirits. So it's not like you can't do it. It's just given the choice, clearly you would rather not.
Well, like we got a puppy at the start of December, so literally since the start of December, I pretty much got up every day. I'm not going to say every day because if Florence listening in, she'll be like, "No, you haven't." But I've got up pretty much on the majority every day. What has been for me a early time because the puppy needs feeding and no one else handles the raw dog food that we give them and everything else. Daisy has done it on the odd occasion, and we haven't, because of this whole lockdown thing as well, since the new year, we haven't needed to be up at an early hour to be anywhere, kind of thing, if I'm making sense. But we've got into a routine of getting up so that the kids are getting on with their schoolwork and everything else. We could have quite easily slipped into it. I haven't had my usual weekly lay-in as a regular thing, or I've actually last few weeks haven't had my afternoon naps or those kind of things. Evenings, I completely function. Like over the weekend, I think both days, Saturday, Friday and Saturday, I was up like 2 in the morning. Sunday was Super Bowl, so I didn't actually go to sleep. I was up till 4, and then the puppy woke up because Bruce was going around and basically didn't go back to sleep. And it's like I've really tried for the last few weeks and months to enjoy being up early because we've made that thing. But I just don't get it, I just can't.
That's all right. I don't see anything wrong with it. I do think there's a weird new societal pressure where getting up early is associated with being more successful and having your shit together more. I think it's unwarranted, but I think, for example, you see these things where they're like, we did the morning routine of successful CEOs or of this billionaire or this millionaire, and they all get up at 5 a.m. and start crushing it. Whilst the competition sleeps, you're already at work. And then I think that, what's it called, like hustle mentality kicks in a little bit, where you feel like you should be someone who's up at the crack of dawn and already at it. But I think if you don't function and you don't perform and it puts you in a bad mood, then it's obviously just
Yeah,
not for you.
following on from last week, we spoke about that, didn't we? I think I'm just taking a bit of an exception. I'm taking acceptance, rather, is the word, that I'm not a morning person, and I
Yeah.
can quite happily go all night and crack on, and I can quite happily get up before the crack of dawn to get stuff done. I'm good with that, but anything pre 10 o'clock isn't out of. I would vote for waking up at 10 o'clock each day, and then I feel I'm at my most productive.
Yeah, but fair enough. I will provide no solution. I will
There you go.
give no assistance. I am
I feel
fully
better
accepting
about
of
that
it.
now, and yeah,
It's
I
off your
can move
chest.
forward in this life. Yes, yes. As we were just talking about snow, weren't we, earlier? Because we caught up just before this, before on another Zoom thingy that we were doing. So you don't like snow? You like my brother? You don't like snow?
I love snow. I think snow is cool. I think snow is fun. I think snow provides a lot of entertainment. I don't like England with snow because this country every single year acts as if they've never seen the stuff and they just don't know what they're doing. It's almost like it's COVID. They just the snow comes and they're like, "What? Guys, we need to do something. We should have put some salt down. Oh, it's a bit late for that. The snow's here. Oh, guys, we should do something. We need to clear the roads. Oh, it's a bit late for that. Everyone needs to go to work and you haven't done any of it, so no one can go anywhere." So this country in the snow irritates me because everything gets affected. But this year I've loved the snow because I've had nowhere to be because we are still in national lockdown, and I have stayed in my house and I've looked out my window and I've said, that's some pretty snow. I like that snow.
Pretty.
I still haven't gone out and actually thrown a snowball or made a snowman or weed in it or any of the things that you're meant to do with the snow.
Snow angel,
But
snow angel. You forgot the angel.
the snow angel. But I enjoyed the presence of said snow. I'm assuming you love snow. I'm
I
assuming you're
love
all about
snow,
the snow.
but only if it brings it. I don't want none of that mushy stuff in a few hours or anything like that. That's just like it's not even an annoyance. It's like, what? Why bother? Kind of
Yes,
thing.
agreed.
But when there's been a layering, I like the crunch underfoot, and
I
I
like the
like
crunch.
the pristineness of especially a forest or an untouched area. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate the snow. Oh, I had another thought actually on my rant. If we can go back
Oh,
to that,
yeah, sure.
I suppose this may be a bit of a justification is what I need. But conversation is good for that, isn't it? Sometimes you just need to get it off your chest. Lauren actually, she was reading or listening to something about teenagers having a teenage daughter, and what they put you through. You kind of look for help where you can, and she was reading this thing about how the teenage brain needs to sleep more, and it trains itself to lay in more and things like that because of the development of the brain, blah blah blah, and everything else. And I just think, or like Ron brought it to us, that I never broke that cycle. I think I've always kept a teenage sleep brain active. So yeah, I think I'm meant to be this way.
I think that says that like lays testament to the fact that you've never actually had to have like a 9 to 5 job, which is what
Yeah,
would have broken you out of that. So I think that's nothing but a good thing. I
yeah.
used to, believe it or not, really lay in as an early teen. Like 2 in the afternoon was very normal for me, and that would still be going to bed relatively decent time, but I'd sleep a lot. It's just not a thing anymore. If I just wake up at 7, it just happens. I'm just up. Maybe 8, and then like my wife will say, "Oh, you had a lay in today." When I get up at 9:30, she's like, "Oh, you really slept in," but it's like not really.
I said a quote at the end of last week and wanted to. I didn't bring it for this week's conversation, as in I thought we might talk about it last week, and I thought, oh, we'll hold that over to this week. Do you remember?
I
So
remember, but you're going to refresh us with the quote again
yeah. So
anyway,
the
right?
quote was, "The first step to correcting a mistake is patience," and I think some of these things that we're conversing about, talking about, I think one has done instinctively over a period of one's life, the way that you behave and react and things like that. Probably through trial and error, I would have thought. But it's something this year, in this short period we've had at the start of the year, that I've really focused on. And it's not overreacting in any given moment when there is not just a mistake or a situation, maybe something that you've done yourself, caused to yourself or caused to someone else, or something that's just happened to everyone. I've really noticed a power in stopping for a moment and going, whoa, let's not react right now. Of course, if someone's burnt themselves or something like that, it needs to have immediate attention to it. I'm not talking about that. I'll see if I can think of an example. But it's like, well, let's just collect ourselves for a second. Everyone's safe, everyone's healthy. And actually, if you give it 5, 10, even sometimes 15 minutes, it seems to work itself out. So I've just been this year really practicing patience.
Yes, I have the biggest moments I think of regret have been when I've jumped the gun in terms of my response to things. When I look back on stuff that I would have done differently, more often than not, it's exactly that situation where something happened and my immediate thing was like, go, react, respond, send the email, do the call, whatever. And then when I think about it, I just think if I just waited, if I just let it simmer for a day, for like you said, an hour, it would have been completely different. Everything happens for a reason, blah, 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 and all of that stuff. But whenever I think back on stuff, that's what generally happens is, yeah, if you just let it naturally play out, things tend to sort themselves out a lot more.
Like you said about messaging, that's a fine example. Like
Yeah.
we're in previous episodes, we talked about screen time, everything else. I've really cut that back. We do have a business thing where we say we're going to get back to people within 24 hours. So if we get a call or a message, we think it's, as a business owner, if someone's paying you for a service, we think it's fair to say we'll get back to him within 24 hours kind of thing. So we've got an unwritten rule with running our family business that we do that. But quite often I've found, a text or email might be in amongst 20 others that you haven't quite got to. If you just leave it, sometimes just for that evening, not at the moment, but you might see the person and it's resolved. And quite often it's that message as well, where it's a little bit more assertive to correcting something, i.e. someone is accusing you or you've made a mistake, or it's a message that has a bit more to it. And if you just be patient and just, it seems to work itself out, and then you get a response like, oh, don't worry, I actually looked in the cupboard and it was there, we didn't leave it there, or something like that. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, all the time. It's like you almost need to retrain people, like the people around you, whether it be, and it goes as far as saying to retrain your customers that certain things don't warrant the message or don't warrant the email, because the typical one that I would get is little Johnny has lost this. Do you have a copy? Do you have it? Can you get one to us? And like I can just be like, we don't have it, but I can give you one, or I can order one, and we can sort it out. But like you said, if I've missed that message or missed that email and we get to class, or I've just not got around to responding to it, 9 times out of 10, little Johnny has found it or mum has worked it out another way. But the initial point of call is always to go straight to you, because that's what they're trained to do. And it's like you have to break that cycle with certain people. There's also now messaging is so instant that people expect a response that much quicker. When it was just written letter, you knew it was going to take a week for a response. And then when email came around, I think 24 hours became the response. But once messaging came, it's like it has to be instant. You feel the pressure. The message comes in, the text message, and you feel like that's something I need to respond to quicker than any other form.
And they've made it so easy now with a thumbs up as well, isn't it? So
you can just respond. And it's like things like read receipts, where it shows them that you've read it. So they know that you've read it. And in their mind now, they're saying, well, I'm not important enough for them to respond to me. which is obviously not what it is, and it's not the intention. But I think that's a big problem. I don't know what the benefit is of the person who sent the message knowing that I've read it, other
Yeah.
than just causing mad anxiety for everyone involved.
Yeah. And then this whole patient thing is I've really started practicing with my whole day. And what I find I've in the past done is I've been on a task, like I do, plan my day, I would say well, time manage the week and everything. And I'll do a task, and I'm quite particular with tasks. I want them done a certain way. And then I'll get to the end of my allocated time, and it'll be like, oh, I'll come back to this later. And then I'll get home and I'll get on the laptop, or I would have written some notes I had to follow up. I've got much better with like, look, just be patient. Just pick it up in your next allocated slot. And I found nothing gained by doing it the other way, trying to cram more in, and absolutely nothing lost by doing it, just being patient for the next day.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to our conversation about the mornings, where there's like this weird pressure to be a hustler, like to not a hustler as in trying to scam people, but like that hard work mentality of you just got to go at it, like respond, reply, tick it all off, all the things are done, rather than, take a more chilled response to it.
And then
What's
the
the
elongate.
big turtle
Big turtle? What is...
in Finding Nemo?
Hey, dude. Yeah, I couldn't say his name, but yeah.
That's like that, isn't it? That's kind of what you need to do.
I looked around then and I thought, where's there a big
that one right there.
Yeah, and then if you elongate the patience out, I've also thought about that, and just the patience with things, especially big things that you want to achieve, just coming together. And it's just that acceptance of, again, I don't have an example at the moment, but those bigger things in life that you just can't instantly have, success or whatever it be.
Yeah, it's hard with all the metrics. I think that's where it gets sticky. I think that's where people struggle with it now, is there's so much numbers and stats, and you just see a response for everything. And I think people struggle. Like if you're trying to build success in a business, you might have metrics of your numbers and they're not growing the way you want them to grow. And it's not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong. You're just not there yet. It's just, you just got to stay the course and be patient, and then it will happen. It will come. There'll be that moment, where it gets up to speed. But yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. I think a lot of people will sympathize with that feeling.
I've not wanted to talk about COVID as in with anyone, let alone yourself, as I just
no issue with that.
Yeah, I'm done with it, months ago. But if there's anything I could have told my pre-COVID self, back in March when it all, was starting to be real, this lockdown and all that. I think that's the one thing I would have said to myself is patience. Just be patient, and I think that's where, if we're in the back end of this now coming out, that I've taken the most from it. What about yourself pre-COVID? Not talking about COVID itself, but the situation we found ourselves in. What advice would you give to yourself?
Focus on that which you can control. I think at the start of it, I was very resistant to it, and I was like almost trying to make out like it wasn't happening. I actually remember the last class we did in a hall, and I turned around to one of my students and I said to him, don't worry about it. It's going to be just like bird flu, mad cow disease, Ebola, all of these. We're going to hear about it in the news for a few weeks, and then it's going to magically disappear because they're just covering up something else that wants to happen. I just got all conspiracy theorists on it. And then they shut us down. And I was like, don't worry about it. In a couple of weeks, they're going to realize the economy's in trouble and they're going to open it all back up. And this went on for like a while. I just wasn't accepting it. And I wasn't focusing then on all the stuff that I could have been controlling, like, online presence and working on other projects and spending my time elsewhere. And I wasted a lot of the beginning portion of it just trying to make it like go away, just being like, no, it's not happening. So yeah, acceptance and focusing on what you can control in moments where it feels like you're not in control.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're good tools
Yeah.
for life itself, though, isn't it? Pandemic or not.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing's just been a learning experience in all of that, hasn't it? I think.
Yeah, for me, most
For
definitely.
sure, for sure. So I got something that I wanted to
Yeah,
bring
well,
up
I've
today.
caught up, so I'm happy now.
Good, you're done. I'm reading a really good business book. I forgot the name, it's that good, and the author, but I'll recommend it. And he talked about this idea, and this was coming off of you not eating as much meat and like being a bit more concerned about the way agriculture is in this country and the way we manage farm animals. And he said, imagine a chicken farm, which is often just like millions of chickens squeezed in a big black box. He said, imagine if there was a live feed video camera at every farm. So at any point, anyone in the world could log in and look at what this farm was doing at any time in any place, and think how that would change the way the farmers treated their animals because of perception. And he said, when like, and he was using it from the point of view of if you've got a business and you want to know about like how to behave, how to have your ethics, how to run it, just imagine that you constantly had this webcam on you that anyone could log onto at any moment and see what you're doing. And that kind of lets you tap into your moral compass in terms of making a right decision, because you know what's right inside, because if someone was watching, you know what you'd want them to see of you. For me, it was like a real boom moment. Yeah, it lit me up, especially from the whole animal farming thing. He kind of brushed over that, as in then got back to business. But I found that concept so interesting that if they had to show slaughterhouses or whatever, and it had to be on camera and anyone could look at it at any time, would it change what it all looked like? And I think it would. And I think if you did that in any business, restaurants, gyms, all the rest of it, you'd see just such dramatic change.
In restaurants and gyms, explain.
So, for example, if you had this webcam in a kitchen of a restaurant, things like cleaning and
cleanliness and hygiene and
all of that would just go up, guaranteed, easily. Same in gyms in terms of cleaning down equipment. It's just that I just think everything. I don't want cameras everywhere. I don't. Well, that's not what I'm saying. But I like the concept of thinking that way. That if people were watching you, what decision would you make?
Yeah, accountability in somewhat.
Yeah, I guess so. And it's just I think sometimes we make decisions. Driving's a good example. We make decisions without thinking of how it affects people outside of us. And like driving does something magical to people where it puts them in this little bubble where they think they're just like their own separate thing. Like they're not a thing. I've been cut up by people sometimes in such bad ways where I thought I could, if I want to, follow you home now. Like I could just continue to follow your car, wait for you to get out of it and do horrific things. I don't, because I'm not that insane just yet. But I just think, why did you think? Because if we were walking, you wouldn't have done what you just did.
No.
Because you would have got beaten up for it, or you would have had to deal with a confrontation. But because you're in this bubble, you don't. And therefore the accountability is not there, and you just behave however you think you can behave. And I think that's, I don't know, my brain just kind of went.
Where else would you put these cameras then? So we've got restaurants.
I wouldn't put cameras anywhere, is what I'm not
I'm metaphorically using
metaphorically
an eye. Let's say an eye, an all-seeing accountability eye. Where would you put this accountability eye?
Well, I'd have a floating accountability eye that just followed me around all day. And it just stuck on me. On me. And this is my big thing. This is kind of how I'd want it. I'd want this ugly little floating eye that just goes around with me all the time. And then when I feel like I'm going to do something that's going to like be really procrastinating or wrong, or I'm going to eat something that I know I shouldn't be eating right now because I've told myself I'm going to eat clean, whatever, I've got to look into this stupid eye and look to the world and go, yeah, I'm eating this and I'm all right with it. And then, you might still make bad decisions, but at least you're then all right with it because you're gonna do that. I don't know. I think there's something to it. And again, as always, I come with this podcast without an idea fully fleshed out. So if it sounds just absolutely batshit crazy, it probably is. Or half-baked, then it definitely is.
I'd like to put an eye for everyone. Actually, cameras on politicians all the time
Oh,
in
that's
every
that's
room.
the best example, right? Imagine all these politicians, every time they have to sign one of these bits of paper that affects people other than themselves, that we could watch it happen.
In
Because
the
every time it's
corridors
all
and
come out,
yeah,
oh, the expense report thing, when all those things came out that they were like using their expenses to pay for moats and drawbridges to their
yeah.
stately manners, that just wouldn't have happened. None of that would have happened if they were being in some way publicly watched.
Being one of balance, how about this then? Taking that all-seeing accountability eye or CCTV cameras, as you want to put everywhere. What
Nice one.
about if we put it in? I'm trying to think of examples, but care homes and places, homeless shelters. What do they call them, where they feed the homeless people, homeless soup kitchens, and all of these places where great acts of kindness take place, so that the world can see that. What
Yeah.
about? You see what I've done? Flip it.
Also, yes, exactly that. You would see these moments of just selflessness that's not been done because the camera is there, but the camera just happened to be there and capture it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would also just be this beautiful thing that people could learn from. I actually saw a beautiful example of this, real life one with the cameras. So someone showed an example. Have you heard of Twitch? Have your kids
I have
exposed you
no.
to Twitch?
No.
Twitch is a new platform for streaming gaming. So if you
Okay.
play, let's say Cece's playing Red Dead Redemption, she could be sit there playing it, and then she could basically, how you sit and watch her play. Imagine that worldwide. Loads
Okay.
of people watching her play and
I'm
listening
with
to
you
her
now.
talk
And
about the
it's
game.
a social platform for that. Okay, yeah.
You can do this thing on it where effectively you can tip people. So if you're watching someone and you like their show, you can send them £2, send them £3. And that's how a lot of these Twitch streamers then make their money. I digress. There's a girl Twitch streamer, and she's telling off all these people who are watching her Twitch because they never send her any money. And she's basically saying to them, look, it would be like a cup of coffee to you. Just don't buy your Starbucks in the morning. You watch me every day. You could at least send me a bit of money. It shows her for a bit, and then it shows this other guy. He's not playing games. He's actually carving wooden sculptures. And someone sent him a tip. He's from New Zealand. He's like, "Oh, mate, can I give it back? You don't have to pay. I just want you to watch. Like, I don't need any money. There's a pandemic going on. How can I send that money back?" And then someone else tips him because he said that. And he's like, "No, guys, please stop tipping me. I'm not doing this for tips. I just enjoy it. Just enjoy my art. And that's all I want from
I
you."
want to share
And
it.
it just showed these two different people. And then you watched both of them and you just went, I want to be that guy. I want to be like
Yeah.
that. And it was a real I don't know. Again, this whole thing just got me
We
going
had
on
a
that.
business. I do like a weekly one with our management consultant company, and the main guy was on there, and he was talking. And he was talking much about this in a business sense, and he was saying, "Don't try and sell something that you're not. Try not to hit the latest. Lose this. Gain that or whatever. But just." Be your authentic self. Really, just be who you are. As long as you're not cuckoo, and allow that to be what your advertising is, because ultimately that's what people want to, for a better word, buy into.
Yeah,
And
something more relatable, human.
yeah, yeah. I really like that. I
Yeah.
think we should wrap it up there, as I don't want to talk about anything else. That's made me feel really good.
That's all right. We've had a nice break from the top threes and the foods and stuff. So next week
Yeah.
we'll enjoy them
Yeah,
more.
back
That
on it.
was
I'd like to
that
finish
was
with a
nice.
quote though, because I brought one.
Please do. Please do.
I thought I'd actually bring a relevant one, as I finished last week and we picked up on patience. So, patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. Joyce Mayer.
I like it. Could you repeat it one more time? I didn't
So,
quite get it.
patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. The patience is a good attitude.
That's a very nice quote. I like that one. Who was the person?
I haven't searched them. Joyce Mayer. It's just a spiritual inspiration.
Nice. Well, I'll stick with the loveliness theme of it all. So we finish all full of hearts and loveliness. This is a really cute one. Love has nothing to do with what you are expecting to get, only with what you are expecting to give, which is everything. Catherine Hepburn.
That's like a big warm quote hug.
That's just a big cuddle, isn't it? Yeah, in a quote.
Well, I really enjoyed this, Az. I'm going to go have an early night so I can get up late. And
that's great.
Continue our days from there.
Enjoy it. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace out.